Ko dia ho. Haramai, thanks for joining us. We're here today for Waipa District Library's Author Month, and joining me today is popular children's author Peter Millett. Kia ora, Peter.
Hey, and thank you for that lovely introduction, popular. Well, there you go. It's official, isn't it?
It is indeed. Now, look, Peter, where did it all start? What got you into writing?
Yeah, my wife is a teacher. She still teaches. She teaches year 5, 6 children. And right at the beginning, when I got some inklings about wanting to write stories, I think I did the right thing. I put it to the test, and my wife said, well, if you think you can do it, write a short story, give it to me, and I'll read it to the children. And that went okay. And then she said, now let's take it a step further. You come in and sit in the back of the classroom and listen to me read another story to get a real live reaction. You know, when they make Hollywood movies, they often do test viewings.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's another great way to do it. So rather than me, like a lot of people have approached me and saying, look, I've been thinking about this for 10 years and just go and put yourself in the lion's den, create a story for children, and see if they like it or hate it.
Okay, so that's a great segue. Yeah. What was your first book? Or what did you first on those children?
Now, the first story, I've actually found it just for you today, and I had to dig deep to find this. This is from 1998, a story about Gene Batten, and I think I was laughing with you on email. David Hill went on to far greater success with his version of that book.
I see.
Good for him. So that was the first story where I wanted to have real-life Kiwi heroes like Edmund Hillary and Gene Batten in Indiana Jones type adventure stories. So I had a child join her in the plane as she flew through into the great unknown and all this sort of stuff. So that was my first official crack at writing a story. But I think with the hindsight of 20 years of doing this, I think I could have done a better version now than I could have in 1998. So I'll be fully admission. I was learning. I had my learning wheels on, my L plates in the car. But I was very grateful to the publishers for giving me a go. And I've still stayed in touch with the same editorial team that gave me my opportunity all the way back then. They've moved on to different companies and they're doing different things. But that really, I'm very grateful that the door was open back then, and I've made full advantage of that first start. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk your target audience. It has changed, or what did it first start out as, and then what have you branched into?
So my wife's classroom, she still focuses on year 5, 6. And she has had, my wife is Ruth Millett. She's had a huge influence on me because she's got a terrific sense of humor. And I think she encouraged me to write for that same age group, but go funnier. Don't hold back, because I think, again, I didn't know much about children's books. I thought you had to be very forthright and educational and very serious. Maybe that was the time then. But so I've kept that same age group, but in the 20 years, I've gone to wacky, crazy, funny, the stuff that I liked, that I find that makes me laugh out loud. And my influences are, for guys of my age and girls of my age, Monty Python, Spike Milligan, the two Ronnies, all that sort of stuff, quite British humour in a way.
Not necessarily PC either.
Not really, no. So, and nowadays, boy, you got to be careful because people, when you write comedy, you can't actually explain to the reader, now I'm being sarcastic here or I'm being serious here. Yeah. And so you don't know. And it would spoil the whole affair if you were explaining what you're doing step by step. But the risk you run as a comedian is you might actually not be meaning something to be sarcastic, but someone takes it that way and everyone explodes on you. So I'll continue as I'm going until someone says, hey, you're in big trouble here. So the other thing which I did do was I've learned to reinvent myself. So in about 10, 15 years through my career, I thought I need to stay fresh. And I had a crack at writing children's songs. So we had a ice cream truck that drove around Torbay, where we lived at the time, Mr. Whippy, at 6 o'clock without fail every night, playing the same instrumental music. And my kids asked me, what's that tune? What's that tune? And I thought, after, it's like mental torture, after a month of hearing the same tune, I thought, let's give it some funny lyrics. And one of those evolved into the Kiwi Go Marching One by One. And then thank you, Scholastic, it was wonderful. I got to work with Jay Lagaya, and he was a genius, a musical genius. So I tried to reinvent part of my career, which meant I was then appealing to younger children below year 5, 6. So that opened up even kindergarten, 3, 4, 5, all of a sudden, to do that. And that was fantastic. And that then also led to me doing animation of my stories set to music. So junior music videos, if you like. So, and that has also opened the door to, I'm working now for the English market and the American market with the Dinos on the bus.
Great.
Pirates on the Bus is coming out. So I think I've really benefited from trying to shake it up a little bit and get out of any groove that I might have got stuck into. And then also going back to year 5, 6, I moved up a little bit into year 7, 8 with the Johnny Danger series. So that has a reading age of it tops out at about 12 and a half, 13. And that's all text. So yeah, I think I'm trying to evolve. I've never attempted young adult. It is on my list to do. So I want to keep trialing and doing new things. So it keeps me fresh. And the one thing I have found is publishing is very difficult to survive in. It's actually quite handy being able to move around the different areas. So, all of a sudden, the older year 7, 8 fiction is not so crash hot, but kids' songs are hot. And then you can switch between the two. So, yeah, sorry to waffle on there, but that's sort of a nutshell.
That's okay. That's okay. So in preparation for this interview, you told me that a number of your books are based on your experience on your uncle's farm in Kihikihi and Te Awamutu. So I'm sure we'd love to hear a lot more about that.
Oh, it's so good. And this is what's really fun for me. They do say write what you know, which isn't always possible, especially, when you're writing war fiction. I've never been to war. But the books that came at me here, so like we have a book here, Pigs and Sheds. We have the Anzac Biscuit Man, and we have Classic Kiwi Rhymes. All of those I can trace back to my experiences as being a townie on a farm. And it's probably not really, I live in central Auckland, I live in an apartment block here. It's like Legoland. It couldn't be further away from this type of living. And that was wonderful. So I found myself not knowing at the time that I would try and be a children's author. I had no, basic plan that would happen. But those influences were great. So what I've noticed is when I write these stories, I get a lot of New Zealand responding to me, not just from Auckland, from all across New Zealand. So I think it really gives me that Kiwi balance. In terms of being a Kiwi, I think rural and city life, that meshing together is the heartbeat of our country. So I'm very fortunate to have had family who are farmers and to have gone and spent most of our school holidays on the farm. They had dry stock cattle, sheep. We took care of the pigs. There were even peacocks on the farm, little dogs running around all over the place. So I loved it. It was fantastic. And I have very fond memories, and I'm very grateful that I can now, as an adult, channel all of those memories through. So a number of my books, I've Kiwiified the English fairy tales and nursery rhymes to put New Zealand scenery, creatures, to pop it all. We don't have badgers, we don't have foxes, that sort of stuff. So I've Kiwiized it, not just to be commercially, orientated, but from my memories. It's a unique way of spending your childhood on a huge open farm where you can walk as far as you can all day long and still not get to the end of the farm. That's amazing, So a lot of fun. Yeah.
And that's certainly something that a lot of children will relate to or would like to relate to. And so you're giving them that experience, which is just wonderful. Yeah. So how many books have you now published? If we could put a number on it.
This is a great situation to be in. At one stage, it was based on how old I am. Okay, so I'm 38, so I've done 38 books. so now it's gone faster than I thought. So it's over 100, which is tremendous. And
wow.
Each one feels like a new child. And that's kind of a weird way of looking at it. It's just a really fun way to do it. So I no longer care about keeping count or what's happening. Whatever I'm working on right now is that's my fun time, So I think it's a good problem to have. I really can't list them anymore, but to have that many is being very, very satisfying. And I wasn't sure if you could actually do this as a career, but I always thought if you could, wouldn't it work if you had lots of books that just paid some royalties, not Harry Potter's, because not everyone can pull those out of the bag, but over time, they just roll along and just keep rolling and rolling and rolling along. And then by changing to working for, different genres or different age groups, and I'm just rolling on. So it's so satisfying to be able to do this. I'm now really enjoying what I'm doing, and I think I'm getting better through the experience. And I'm able now to write the stories that I've always wanted to do. One story, which I don't never like spoiling stuff, but one story I've been working on for 20 years, and at the time I didn't have the skills necessary to make it publishable, but I think it's getting very close to that now. So that has gone on for 20 years. And I hope that might be a very exciting story. It's a picture book story when I've done it. So about 100 books to give you a long-winded answer.
So how many books would you work on at one session or one period?
It works.
At any one time, I should say.
There's two different flavors to this. If I'm doing picture books or song books or illustrated books, quite often I will be doing those in association with a couple of other sequel picture books at the same time, or song ideas, or even educational readers. So if I'm working in a shorter word count, under 1,000 words, which is illustrated, I could be doing 1, 2, or 3 different books, sort of rotating. And Monday I'll do this, Tuesday I'll do that, flip it around. If I'm doing a book like Johnny Danger, which is 30,000 words, that is just that. It's intense. It is absolutely intense. I'm exhausted. But the catch is, with those types of teen series books, you spend 6 months doing that, and you are absolutely spent. The problem is, you start the sequel the next day. You do that, and that's another 6 months. And you finish that, and then the next sequel. And in one case, which was less than desirable, Johnny Danger 2 and 3 actually overlapped because we ran out of time. And I was writing both heavy-duty books at the same time, and I don't want to do that again. I did it to the standard that I wanted to, but it was too hard. It absolutely was too difficult. So, the longer text-only fiction books are just completely blinkers on, soul-focused. The thing that I've never understood was, and I don't think this advice is correct, right at the beginning of my career, I was told by a number of people that what you do is you work 9 to 5 in a regular job like customer service or whatever management, and then you come home and you write till 1 a.m. in the morning. It doesn't work. You don't, it's that, I don't know who is giving this advice out here. The problem is, and this is what I've learned through the Johnny Danger series, that writing, you're spent. You become stale and unable to think of good quality ideas. So please don't take that advice. Find a way to carve out some time, however it is, even if it's unorthodox, but you can't give your best to certain types of writing if you're exhausted from something else. I think it's better to fit in writing to gaps that you can create, rather than at the end of the day or at 1 a.m. You're not going to have your best writing skates on. So everyone's different. Maybe some people are really good at doing that. But for me, you choose gaps and just try and slot yourself into those gaps if you can make it work.
So somewhat related, what does a day in, and this might be different depending on what day, particularly if you're in the middle of writing some Johnny Danger series, what does a day in the life of Peter Millett look like? Well,
and this, how can I say this without this sounding totally weird? The most helpful piece of advice I've ever seen was 2 or 3 months ago. The writers of the group ABBA reformed and released an album after 40 years. And someone said, well, how do you go about writing it? And this was so helpful. They say you spend 6 months writing absolute rubbish. And then, lo and behold, something out of that can be used, and then you can build on it. And then a year later, you can add in what they call the right bridge to fit that chorus. And I think, for me, that was really, really helpful. I could spend 2 days of like Monday and Tuesday writing stuff, and there's a nagging doubt in my mind. I'm not really into this, what I'm doing. I'm not at the stage now, and I hope I never get to that stage where you could write even stuff that's just like whatever, and it still gets published. That's terrifying to be ever, but it does happen, unfortunately. So for me, Monday and Tuesday could be 2 full days of writing, and by Wednesday I'll review it and go, it just doesn't have that thing that it needs, And so this happens, unfortunately, quite a bit. It may not be until Friday afternoon that I go, I think I know what I should be doing with this information. And then over the weekend, I'm not writing per se, but I'm breaking it down in my mind. And quite often Sunday night, I go, what if I did this? And then Monday morning, it starts to open up a new approach. And then so that following Monday is quite productive, and so is the Tuesday. But it's taken the bulk of the week prior to get to that point where basically we're problem solving as writers. We're taking things that don't work and ideas and looking for the right way to go A, B, C, D. Oh, and look at this here. So that's my approach to writing. There is a lot of content which is not okay, which is rubbish in some respects, but it's still out of that you can. And I think if you're designed to be a writer, you go through that process and you can pull out those one or two things, to step back for a moment, let it matriculate, and then you think, oh, okay, here we go here. I don't see any shortcut to that. And I just don't get it when I do hear of celebrity writers even who say, look, I'm pumping out 6 novels a year. It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to be too critical. Writing is a slog, and the really good stuff comes out after quite a bit of pain. So that really is what it is. It's just grinding through the stuff that doesn't work until there's a realization this could work, and then the good stuff comes.
That leads on to our next question, and this could be a hard one. What work are you most proud of? It's a tricky one. I think that probably writing Johnny Danger was the hardest thing I've ever done as an adult on anything that I can think of. It would be akin to each year the New Zealand SAS have an open invitation. Come and join us. I mean, do I look like someone who could do the SAS? Not really. But it's that same, like, yeah, if you think you can do it, come and join. And for me, Johnny Danger felt like that because this was around about the time when we'd had the global financial crisis, which was 2009 to 2013. Yeah. A lot of people have forgotten how tough that was. We had 4 New Zealand publishers close down and leave. It was that harsh. It was even harder than it is now with the lockdowns. And so basically people were saying, no chance. Writers, that's it. If anyone's at home wanting to write fiction for a career, forget it. You got no chance. And I borrowed money from the bank based on what I could conceive as a 3-book series. And I knew I needed to borrow money to carve out time to do it full time. Mm. And then I wrote it, and then there was 2 years of hearing nothing about whether it would be accepted. So that was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I had to campaign really hard, phone calls to the UK late at night. Boy, that was tough. And I wouldn't want to go through that again. That was the most stressful, difficult thing I've ever done. But what I felt pleased with was, I think it's some of my best work that came out under pressure, rather than it crushing me. And there was so many negative comments that came to me. You don't know what you're doing. It won't work. It's not going to happen. So probably writing, you got to be careful with writing. It could be too hard in some cases. So that was right up to the edge of no more pressure than that, please. So, and I don't know if would I do it again? I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, Johnny Danger, book 1 was the hardest thing I've ever attempted in my life. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I know we're running short of time. So just in closing, is there anything that you can reveal about what you're working on at the moment?
Just for you, Dee, there is. Yes, you are the only person in the world, and now obviously anyone who watches this podcast will get to see the exclusive reveal. And with the wonders of modern technology, I don't know if you can see the screen here.
Oh, I can.
Hickory Dickory Kick. And if anyone out there, particularly in New Zealand and Australia, if any of you readers recall a book called My Old Man, He Played Rugby,
yes,
which I've been surprised there's been a lot of people who are into this. Okay, so the journey continues with Hickory Dickory Kick. And so we are making it right now here. Okay, so that's the whole story before your eyes, but you won't be able to make head or tail. I'll just stop before the ending comes in. So that's one story that a lot of people have said, can we have some more funny rugby stories?
Oh, so, isn't that great?
Here it comes, Hickory Dickory Kick. I really like it. And this is a really cool thing. I get to work with Bob Derrick, who a lot of New Zealanders love Bob Derrick, the Kiwi that was afraid of the dark, all his fantastic Kiwi series books. And so hi, Bob, if you're watching this, I've never seen you in person. Okay, I'm so excited to work with you. Okay. And so this is me having fun. You can sense I'm having fun as a writer now. I'm getting to do things I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to work with Bob. So it's Pete and Bob now in this book, which is very exciting.
Oh, that's wonderful. Look, Peter, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to interview you. Ka kite.
Thank you.